Hello everyone. Today we can go through what are the main possible vulnerabilities of a website. So here is the topic is owasp Top 10 2021. owasp Top 10 is a research-based document that raises awareness among developers, organizations and security professionals on the most critical security risks facing web applications. The latest is the owasp Top 10 Vulnerabilities 2021 released in September 2021 after a 4 years gap. By definition, Open Web Application Security Project is owasp. It is a non-profit foundation dedicated to improving software security. Here are the main possible vulnerabilities that may happen in website or applications. The first one is injection, second is broken authentication, third is sensitive data exposure, fourth is XML external entities, fifth is broken access control, sixth is security misconfiguration, seventh is cross-site scripting, eighth is insecure deserialization, ninth is using components with known vulnerabilities, 10th is insufficient logging and monitoring. But this list is revised in 2021, so some factors are changed in this list. So the first one in revised list is broken access control. Previously its number was number 5 on the list, broken access control, a weakness that allows an attacker to gain access to user accounts and move to the number for 2021. So broken access control vulnerabilities enable attackers to gain access to user accounts, admin panels, databases, servers, sensitive information, business critical apps, etc. and let unauthorized users perform privileged functions such as modification or destruction. So, broken access control has moved to the top of owasp Top 10 Vulnerabilities 2021 since 94% of applicants were found to have this vulnerability. So, how to mitigate this broken access control? So, the mitigations are adopt a least privileged approach, build strong access controls using role-based authentication mechanisms, accept for public resources, deny default access to the functionalities, and maintain lean servers by shutting down unnecessary services, deleting inactive and unnecessary accounts. Sensitive data must not be stored in the root. Server directly listing must be disabled. These are the steps you have to follow to mitigate this broken access control. And next one is cryptographic failures. Previously in position number 3 and formerly known as the sensitive data exposure, this entry was renamed as cryptographic failures to accurately portray it as a root cause rather than a symptom. So, the cryptographic failures occurs when important stored or transmitted data such as social security number is compromised. So, whether at rest or in transit, data contains sensitive information that needs extra protection. This is especially important for organizations falling under purview of the standards like PCI DSS, GDPR, CCPA, HIPAA, etc. Some examples of cryptographic failures are storing data in plain text, not using the latest cryptographic algorithms, improper key management, etc. This is about the cryptographic failures, and next one is how to mitigate this cryptographic failure. That is, encrypt all data addressed using secure and robust encryption algorithms, keys and protocols. And next thing is encrypt all data in transit using the latest secure protocols like TLS. And identify, apply and strong security controls on all sensitive data. Another method is don't collect and store sensitive data unless absolutely necessary, and you have to follow either don't cache sensitive data or on data collecting forms, or disable autocomplete on forms, and minimize the attack surface, or store passwords using robust, adaptive and proven hashing function. So you have to follow these any of these steps or all the steps to mitigate this cryptographic failures. Third is injection. Injection moves down from number 1 to number 3, and the cross-site scripting is now considered part of this category. Injection vulnerabilities allow attackers to inject malicious or untrusted data or commands or queries into the application, leading the interpreter to take actions it is not designed for. For instance, giving access to sensitive data, arbitrary code execution, etc. Some examples of the injection are SQL injection, cross-site scripting, etc. And how to mitigate this injection? The first step is server-side input validation is must. Second is use safe APIs to avoid interpreters completely. Third is use intrusion detection systems to spot suspicious behavior. Fourth is use parameterized queries. Fifth is use limit and other SQL controls within these queries, preventing mass disclosure of records. And last one is avoid special characters. So these are the methods you have to follow to mitigate this injection attack. And fourth is insecure design. Insecure design is a new category for 2021 that focuses on risk related to design flows. As organizations continue to shift left, threat modeling, secure design patterns and principles and reference architectures are not enough. So entering the list at number 4, this new thing like insecure design in the owasp top 10 2001 list focuses on the risks associated with the design flows that lead to poor security controls. It reflects the industry's growing focus on creating secure by design apps. So mitigation steps are: first one is integrate security right into SDLC, software development section stages, and leverage robust security practice from the early stages. Second is establish a library of secure design patterns, components, frameworks, etc. that are ready and safe to use for new applications. Use threat modeling for designing critical features like access controls, authentications, business logic, key flows, etc. And another one is include security language concerns and controls in all user stories. Next is based on the exposure protection needs, divide apps into different tiers and find use and misuse cases for each tier. And last is each level of app should include plausibility test. So these are the methods to mitigate insecure design attack. Next is security misconfiguration. The former external entities category is now part of this risk category, which moves up from the number 6 spot. Security misconfigurations are design or configuration weaknesses that results from a configuration error or shortcoming. So, security misconfiguration representing a lack of security hardening across the stack moved up the owasp top 10 2021 since 90% of applications had this vulnerability. So, for example, improper permissions enabling unnecessary features, default accounts and passwords, misconfigured HTTP headers, verbose error messages, etc. The mitigation steps are harden app security using fast, easy to deploy processes, use pre-configured templates, and maintain library of securely configured container images, regularly update and patch configurations, remove unused features and services, and deploy in an application with minimal setup. Use automated workflows to verify secure configurations and detect misconfigurations in any environment and remediate identified issues instantly. These are the mitigation steps. And sixth is vulnerable and outdated components. This category moves up from number 9 and relates to the components that pose both known and potential security risk rather than just the former. The components with known vulnerabilities such as CVEs should be identified and patched, whereas the stale or malicious components should be evaluated for viability and the risk they may introduce. So, this vulnerability arises from unsupported and outdated components, software, libraries, frameworks, etc. So, building or using applications without the latest or updated versions of the components leaves them open to attack. So, mitigation steps are maintain an updated inventory of all components used in the application with their versions. Continuously scan components, libraries, etc. and their dependencies for the vulnerabilities. Use components software from official and trustworthy sources. Keep all the components updated. If patches aren't immediately available, apply virtual patches. And the seventh one is identification and authentication failures. This previously known as broken authentication. This entry has moved down from number 2 and now includes CWES related to identification failures. Specifically, the functions related to authentication and session management, when implemented incorrectly, allow attackers to compromise passwords, keywords, sessions, which can lead to stolen user identity and more. So, incorrect execution of functions related to user authentication and session management allows users to compromise security keys, passwords, etc. and exploit permissions, assume identities, and so on. So permanently or temporarily. So mitigation steps are multi-factor authentication as must, implement a strong password policy, don't use default credentials especially for admin privileges, deploy a secure sessions manager that generated time-limited session IDs, strengthen registration, credential recovery and other authentication related process. Next one is software and data integrity failures. This is a new category for 2021 that focuses on software updates, critical data, and CI/CD pipelines used without verifying integrity. Also now included in this entry, insecure deserialization is a deserialization flow that allows an attacker to remotely execute code in the system. Entering owasp top 10 2021 at number 8, this vulnerability highlights the need to verify the integrity of software updates, critical data, and CI/CD pipelines. So, mitigation steps are ensure legitimacy of software or data or programs and its source through the digital signature or similar measures. ensure integrity of CI/CD pipeline through strong access controls, proper configuration, and adequate segregation. Unencrypted serialized data must not be delivered to untrustworthy clients. So incorporate integrity checks. Next one is security logging and monitoring features. This formerly known as insufficient logging and monitoring, this entry has moved up from the number 10 and has been expanded to include more types of failures. Logging and monitoring are activities that should be performed on a website frequently. This owasp top 10 vulnerability 2021 concerns the application's weakness in detecting and responding to security risks. Given that the time given to a attack detection in 197 days on average, attackers have a long enough window to do their bidding. So mitigations are enforce security controls that help prevent the tampering of log data, ensure the logs are contextual and available in compatible formats for in-depth forensic analysis. Use readily available logging and audit software that helps in instant detection of suspicious activities. And last one is server-side request forgery. This new category this year, a server-side request forgery can happen when a web application fetches a remote resource without validating the user's supplied URL. This allows an attacker to make the application send a crafted request to an unexpected destination, even when the system is protected by a firewall, VPN, or additional network access control list. The severity and incidence of SSRF attacks are increasing due to cloud services and increased complexity of architectures. So, this vulnerability ranked 1 in owasp top 10 community survey and was included in 2021 list. This vulnerability allows user to access data from the remote resources based on user specified unvalidated URLs. Even firewall or VPN protected servers are prone to these vulnerabilities if unvalidated user inputs are accepted. Mitigation steps are disallow HTTP redirection. Second is build a positive allow list for port, destination, and URL schema. And third is ensure clients don't get raw responses. Block unwanted incoming traffic using deny by default firewall policies. Remote resource access functionalities, if any, must be isolated in a separate impact, and enforce user input validation and sanitization. So these are the major top 10 vulnerabilities that may be happen in website or applications. So even it is a big or a small industry, every company or industry should aware of this 10 possible major vulnerabilities. So thank you all.